I noticed that Ireland staff were very like they're always been a bit snobby. They didn't like me when I came. I'm kind of pop or punk or something. I wasn't an Ireland person, and they pretty much universally, bar one or two, were kind of, why is this guy here and why is he telling me blah blah blah. So overnight, I had all the plants in the war room removed. I had them all. I had somebody come in and remove all the plants, right? And also, I put an intercom on everybody's desk in the building, right? I had two electricians work all night to put these things. So the following day, this is early on in the Frankie Goes to Hollywood period, right? I had a meeting with the staff and I said, you may notice that you've got an intercom on your desk and, the fancy spider plants have all gone, right? I'm not taking the piss. There's a reason for this. When you see a red light on your intercom, which it has, a nice big red light, when that happens, I am listening to your conversation, right? And if you're calling your mother or your girlfriend or you're planning your weekend or you're being social, I'm going to be really uptight and you're going to come into my room and I'm going to tell you what I think you're doing. You've got to work for the company. You've got to work for the business. This company has not got a lot of money. If I'm lending money towards your salary, I want action. Okay? So it's not to listen in like the Russians or anything. It's to get the job done. There's a lot going on, I'm aware, where people are not concentrating on the records. So there was that. The second thing was I went through the entire release schedule of Ireland. I had it all put on cassette and I listened to it over one weekend and I couldn't find a hit. Now, now a record company without a hit, when it's having, the odd problem where you want to focus the staff, that's not a good thing, right? So a lot of the people who are depending on their albums coming out I asked them in. I said, look, we're not releasing this record. It's got no hits on it, and it's going to be a problem. It's going to cost us money. We haven't got what is required to push things up the hill. You have to go back and rewrite or re-record or do whatever. But give us the ammunition. We can't work. There's an Irish proverb that says you can't go without the horse, right? In this case, the record is the horse. That was the beginning of the island kind of story. But it didn't have a lot of their people were leaving. Robert Palmer was leaving, Steve Winwood was leaving. There was this altercation with U2, which Black will try to keep away from me, but I'm Irish, so I'm interested in finding out what the Irish band are up to. Believe they did a deal where they got a percentage of the company, but he had to sell it within a certain number of years. They didn't just want a percentage rather than royalties because he hadn't got the money to pay their very large royalties at the time. So that's the U2 bit. So I worked hard. We got things together. Everyone started to enjoy their job as well. Everyone found that, for example, the guy called Dave Domnio. He was one of the supporters as soon as I got there. He came to see me and said, he was the general manager. He said, I'm really pleased you're in. Somebody needed to come. You're the right one. I'm with you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Dave, you're with me. Thank you very much. Dave Domnio said to me after about a couple of months, he said, I've been here for 11 years and I've never had a job offer. I've had 6 job offers since you've come. So thank you very much. And that's really what was happening. A record company, gets motivated by its hits, more or less. Obviously Ireland had a creditable musical talent. Black Uhuru, Aswad, I did a few videos for them. There's a great video you might look at called Chasing for the Breeze that I shot with them at a White Army barracks. It was really good fun. We had a really fun day. They did too. They loved it. The idea that, I was driving these soldiers, these all white soldiers. Anyway, Aswad were good fun. I had, so I like selling records and I like musicians and I like music and I like songwriting. I like all the bits that make up, unfortunately now where we have streaming, I think it's all bollocks, but it's there. nothing to worry me about. But I like people to want to own the music. That's important. So my effort was to try and make it interesting and make it good. And when they got it, they'd play it and they'd want more of it by a given artist.
Is it okay if I ask you about one more thing?
Sure.
The Gregory Isaacs Icon compilation.
Yeah. Now, oh yeah. Well, I've offered that to everybody. I've gone to Universal. 60% of the tracks that I selected are, um, Universals. And I've been around for the other 40%. Gregory's catalogue has been given away to every dodgy reggae party record forever. So he doesn't have a great profile for sales because they've never really listened to him, and because all the bits of dance hall, and he had a very large drug problem, and although he got it in jail his first time around about carrying a gun or something, so he got it in there, but he controlled it to a degree, insofar as you can control the cocaine problem. He would make records and he'd get $5,000 a time, and one of the 1,000 would be spent on the record, and 4,000 would go into the drug account to keep things going. Because if you're a drug addict and you're kind of also doing, you can do dates and whatever. If you he did it very well. He kept control of it, but there's not great production value on a lot of his music. You know what I mean? It was done in the studio quickly, fairly live. So Ikon, I kind of took it around all the record companies on the basis that he hadn't been seen well in the big market. Very similar to the Marley thing in concept. And they, Universal tried to release it 2 or 3 times, but there's a lot of people who didn't, or who had said or stated that Gregory Isaac would never sell a lot of records, and they wanted to be proved right. So they so they canvassed against it, and I've carried it around for about 5 years now. Remarkably, with a bit of luck, we may be able to get it released. And so I'm working on that. Bruno did the artwork. The pictures, Adrian Boot. The running order by me. And again, there'll probably be a lot of people say, well, these are all safe Gregory tracks. But having them in one package was what I wanted to do. He's not political. I mean, he's only political insofar as the male-female connection is. He's very political about that. And they're very good. He's a great singer. He's a lovely singer. And there have been some great tracks. But his reputation has been split all over the place. So he's on every 2,000 selling reggae record and some obscure track that somebody would put on there. I've researched what I think are the tracks that, if they're exposed to the general public, because that's what I do. And I am into music. I'm into the band playing great. I'm into them being live. I want them to constantly put out records that are greatest hits, that the songs are strong. They're not there for silly reasons or overpriced. I've got one hit, so the major, they've got one hit, so a lot of filler I need to get the record out on time. Blah 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 blah. It's not my reputation, I hope, and so I'm waiting to put out Gregory's record, and next year looks good. You need a year to warm it up and to get it sorted, particularly nowadays. But it's difficult because the tracks are all owned by different people. So the digital income will all go to the owners rather than the person who puts the record out. Universal, it should have come out on Universal, and they should have had a lot of fun. Do you like Gregory?
Huge fan of Gregory.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, all the women, you ask the women, you go to a room, you're in a meeting, you ask the 2 girls, do you know reggae at all? Yeah. Do you know Gregory Isaacs? Yeah, I really like Gregory. They all say that. And, the males in the room, particularly if they don't want the record to come out, kind of grumble and collect their papers and shuffle their way out the door.
I was surprised by the track selections.
What? These are all essentially his hits. I mean, that's, if you have a greatest hits record, what is it? It's fucking greatest hits. That's fucking it's about. Yeah, the Elvis cover is a kind of a long shot, but I wanted people to see that he was human and had done an Elvis, what they think is an Elvis track, because Elvis never wrote anything. I mean, his manager bullied people into giving him, publishing. So if you wanted your song on an Elvis record, you had to give half to the manager. Yeah, so it's in there. Also, I try and put records together that when you put them on, if you like it, you'll go to the end. That's the essence of the track listing. I don't like people to step over one, because once they step over, they won't put the record on again. They'll yeah. I don't like people dodging a track, and that's the essence of my particular
Yeah.
selection. The running order is very important. The running order of the band on stage is very important. The public don't need to be, they're not there to fucking think about their problems. They're there to be taken away. So you've got to make the record that fills that kind of gap and hole where people will put it on a bad day because it gives them a thing. Remarkably, when you called and I'd forgotten all about you, I was playing Ikon. I was in the middle of it. And Closer Than a Brother is a great track. Now, I'm hopeless at names. Gussie, Gussie,
Gussie Clark.
Gussie Clark. Now that's a great record. You listen to the production value in that. See, Gussie made something for Gregory that Gregory would have, thrown out the door. Yeah, he gets the essence of the Jamaican reggae, but he also pays attention to detail. Yeah, he's great. I'm a big fan of his. He was also very straight. We made a very straight deal. He was very professional. He sent me the streams. I said, I'd like maybe to put some brass on this track, right? Would you send me the streams? Now, most Jamaicans wouldn't. And he did. And I was really pissed off that afterwards I had to say, look, I can't convince a record company to take it. Yeah, they're all different production qualities. Again, Gregory did and didn't and had and hadn't. But he was a bright man and he knew to own his stuff as well. So the drugs were there, and yeah, I've grown to love him. Unfortunately, he had a white lady in the UK. I mean, I don't mind the color of a good lady, and she was big. She's gone now.
Oh.
He lived with her the last 5 or 6 years of his live. He was still going out. He needed to make some money. Linda, her name was, and she changed her name to Isaacs. She was Irish.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's what the Irish do. Yeah, I was in touch with her a lot and very friendly with her, and she was great. But she just wanted him recognized. This is like my follow up. This is a follow up to Legend. I haven't done another reggae record since, and you would think that people would pay attention. Nobody asked to listen to the record. See, record company people, it's like soap. It's nothing. They don't listen to the music anymore. I find that ridiculous. I listen, always give me the track so I can hear the music. Numbers are good and numbers can be useful, but they're not it. It's not about that. Not for me anyway. If it would sell, they'll have it out there. But they don't know how to do it. They don't know what they're doing. But they don't know what they're doing. I mean, if you're not into the music, if you're not using the music in some kind of extra marketing thing that might sell a few records, then what are you selling? You're selling a bit of plastic. Who cares? And how can you possibly justify charging the ridiculous prices for it when it hasn't got anything on it? I grew up being a record thing. I mean, I've been doing it for 50 years now. So, I'm 80 now. So at the end of the day, I'd like to get this record out.